If there's a single algorithm that every developer should know, it is the standard transform algorithm. Welcome to this Bits of Q episode on algorithms from the standard library, where we are going to talk about the transform and for each algorithms, both great candidates for transforming your data. We'll explain exactly what they do and when to use which one. Let's get started with standard transform. This algorithm is perhaps the most flexible and most useful algorithm from the standard library. It is used to transform data from an input range, specified using iterators, by applying a function to each of the elements in the range. The result of applying this function is then written to an output iterator. In this example, we are going to transform the word bits by supplying a.begin and a.begin plus 4 as the input range for the first two parameters. We want to output the transformed elements to the container B, so as a third parameter we are going to use b.begin. And for our transformation, we'll make the word uppercase by introducing this toUpper lambda, which uses the similarly named standard library function to make its input uppercase. We can then simply supply this lambda as the fourth argument of our call to standard transform. When this call to transform is executed, the toUpper function is applied to each of the elements in the range. Most implementations of the standard library will apply the function passed to transform to each of the elements in the order in which they are read by the iterator, as shown in the animation. However, the standard does not guarantee in-order application of the function. As such, the function passed to transform should not modify any of the elements in the range passed to it. One way to still transform elements in place is to supply an output iterator, which points to the same element as the begin of the input iterator. This will result in the output of the toUpper function being written back to the element that was read as its input. Note that using any other position inside the input range for the output iterator will result in undefined behavior. Transform has a second form, where it takes an extra input iterator to read from two ranges. The length of the second range is assumed to be the length of the first. As such, no end iterator needs to be supplied for it. For the transformation function, we use an instance of standard plus. The transform algorithm is going to apply this plus operation on both inputs. So that's why the function which you pass to this std transform needs to be a binary function, a function that takes two arguments. The outcome of applying this function, in this case 9, will again be written to the output iterator. And this is going to repeat itself, again in non-specified order, for everything in the input ranges. Of course, there are times where you do need the elements to be processed in order. For example, when you want to output elements. In such cases, we need an alternative solution. C++11 gave us the ranged-based for, which allows us to write for loops without having to manually take care of iteration. With this loop, we can easily increment every element in A, without running the risk of off-by-one errors, or having to worry about how to retrieve the element at a certain index. But what if you want to apply an operation to a certain range of elements? This is where standard for each comes in. Just like most algorithms from the standard library, the first two parameters of for each are again two iterators specifying the range in which the algorithm should operate. The third parameter is the function that should be executed on the elements in the range. Given the simplicity of the increment operation, we decided to just specify the lambda in line. Note that, in case of for each, the function passed is allowed to modify the container, which is why we accept our input I by reference. For each also guarantees that this function will be executed on each of the elements in order, making it a good candidate for cases where this is a requirement, like outputting the content of a range. C++17 introduced a slight variation on for each, the for each n algorithm. Here the range is specified using a begin iterator and a length, in this case 4. Other than that, for each n operates exactly the same as for each. It is simply a convenience function. Since transform is allowed to use the start of the range also as an output iterator, it is possible to express most for each function calls as calls to the transform function. Note that I updated the lambda here to accept I by value and return the incremented value. The fact that you can express a for each or a for each n as a transform begs the question, when should you use one over the other? First of all, if you need to write to a different container, transform is your only option. Similarly, if you need the function to be applied in order, for each is the only valid choice. Another difference between the two algorithms is the way they handle the function that's passed to it. Transform writes the return value of the function, whereas for each ignores the return value and instead relies on the side effects of executing the function. Now say you want to modify the elements of a range in place. You don't care about the execution order, and you can write your transformation function either way. In that case, you could use both transform and for each. My advice would be to at that point consider the semantics of the functions. In general, this is important when you want to write code that's expressive and easy to read and maintain. The transform function has the semantics of a map operation, mapping data from A to B by applying a function, whereas the for each algorithm has the semantics of a for loop. As such, when you're just looping over data and transforming it, go for the for each function. I hope this helps you to choose the right tool for the job when transforming your data. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.